everybody.
So Justin, I got a question, dude.
Yeah.
So I noticed all of the branding. Are you in charge of the branding for the coffee talks?
Oh yeah, we do the graphics for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a serious question. Like I've been seeing it and I dig it, and I like the one with the coffee as the O for the coffee that you're using, the literal coffee. But this week's one, what is that, dude? Is that a COVID?
It was a turtle.
I thought it was a turtle, and I was like, wait a minute. I was trying to blend in, like, what is the coffee? Like, that's not a coffee cup. It looks like maybe chopsticks. No, not chopsticks and a plate. And I was like, hey, because we're in COVID season, is that an actual COVID?
I will go and tell the designer that there was a mix-up, but no, it was not the COVID.
Oh man.
A COVID? What is a COVID, Keone?
You know the design whenever they show you the COVID, like all of those. Check out my post that I put. I thought my wife brought me home a box of COVID.
It's like a porcupine.
It was lychee and with some hair on it, but it looked like the COVID's the thing that they use for COVID in the news.
It got your attention, didn't it?
It did. It was a nice attention grabber.
Does that logo for COVID actually represent what COVID is?
I don't know,
Did you
man.
make it up?
I know.
I'm sure
Every time you see that red thing, it's like, it's not good. The cases must have gone higher in Hawaii.
Yeah. There's got to be a physician on. Oh, Jamel. Jamel's
Yeah.
on.
What's up, man?
What's up, Jamel? How you guys avoiding the hurricane down there?
Yeah, I mean, they shut down the city, like closed down work, and it was all sunshine yesterday. Now, like Louisiana, it was horrible for them. But as far as me in Houston, not a drop of rain.
No kidding. Well, praise God.
Yeah, praise God. Exactly. Praise God. Exactly. I like that.
So you're the only physician on right now. So is that COVID logo that they use all the time? Is that what it actually looks like when you look at it under a microscope or something?
Yeah, let me see. I'm going to Google it real quickly, like COVID logo.
It's the one they use on the news channel and CNN.
Right.
And they say COVID, it's that porcupine looking.
Yeah. Okay. So it is. That's right. So like so it's like a circle with like little spikes kind of coming off of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it looks under the microscope.
No kidding.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's the spikes that are actually like attached to your cells, and then allows all the other shit to kind of happen.
No.
Well, I kind of thought about it like a joke. I didn't think it really looked like that.
Yeah, I mean, like they've taken some like artistic license and some of like the images, whatever. I just Googled though, but for the most part, it's a circle with like spikes kind of off of it. So like the spikes look like crowns, and Spanish for crown is corona. So that's kind of why they got. That's why.
Oh snap! Yeah. I'm done today. I learned
Oh,
something new.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm done for the day. Good night, guys.
That was
All right. Good talk.
Yeah.
We got all kind of new information. That was beautiful.
Oh, that was. I didn't know that.
Well, for those of you who haven't met Jamel, Jamel's awesome. He's a physician. He and his wife are both physicians out of Houston. And they're getting started in the real estate investing world. And so you must have gotten lucky today to not have to go in. So you're hanging out with us for coffee talk.
Yeah, it was very, very fortunate because of the hurricane or the projected hurricane. There was some power outages randomly. So I live in like a suburb of Houston. So they were randomly shutting down the electrical grid. So they shut down the grid to the hospital. And so they canceled all of the cases, but then the electricity came back and they're like, oh, well, we're gonna do surgeries again. And so then I ended up having to go back to work today. But then not all the cases were able to reschedule. So I got off early.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Well, we're glad for that. We're glad you're with us.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Welcome. And thanks for the educational insight to kick us off.
No problem, man. You guys seem cool already, man.
we pretend to be cool. That's awesome. Hey, Greg, how's Maui today?
Hot.
Is it hot today?
Oh my God. It's been brutal. I went to I need to get AC in my house. I went and picked up the window unit from Costco the other day and we put it in yesterday, so that was nice, but holy cow, man. It's even living up country, it's been getting pretty brutal.
Hey, Greg, congratulations on your little one coming.
I just saw you post.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. Great.
It's awesome.
Got a little one coming on the way.
Is that your first baby, first child?
No, I have 3 dogs, so those are my children.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes the dog's actually more work.
Yeah. No, I don't have any human children. So this will be a first. Yeah. I kind of wanted to wait till I grew up to have a kid, but.
Oh, it doesn't happen. None of us ever grow up.
Is anyone grown up on here?
That's what makes life fun. For those of you who don't know Greg Gaudet, he's on Maui. If you get a chance, listen to him on Bigger Pockets. Greg, your episode, what number are you?
385.
385. Right on.
Yeah.
385. What was your title? Homeless to billionaire?
From homeless to investing in an expensive market with no money, something like that.
I think they should have
money
called
out
it
of pocket.
From homeless, carless to Porsche.
So always is sitting in the car.
You're always in your car, bro.
The funny thing is I lived in my car, so you'd think now that I have a place to live, I wouldn't want to be living in my car anymore, but I pretty much still do. I guess old habits, right?
That's awesome. Hey, did you ever place that deal that you had?
Yeah.
Which one?
The condo in Anapali, I think it was, 100 grand. Oh no,
the condo. Oh, the one that I was trying to get the I think you're talking about the one that I was last time I was a couple weeks ago. I was mentioning I was looking for funding for.
Gotcha, that's it.
That's what it was. Yeah, no, I haven't found anybody to fund it yet. Well, actually, my CPA offered, but she wanted a little more interest than I want to do. But yeah, if anybody wants to lend like 50, 100 grand or something based secured by condo that's cash flowing very strong, I'm looking to get take cash out of it. Not really urgent. I'm not like actively looking for it, but if somebody wants to chat, that'd be cool.
Sweet. Anybody got extra cash and wants to invest in Maui, so you have a tax write-off so you could travel there in about 2 years when COVID's over, then that's a great option.
But I did just finish a refi on the burr that I bought before that. And we just sold our last flip, the Wailea one I think we talked about on this meetup. And so we're looking for deals. We got cash, we're ready to go. So if anybody has leads for flips on Maui or rental properties too, basically, yeah. We're also looking for CPRs and land development deals too. So basically anything you got on Maui, it just has to be a good deal, that's all.
Hey, Greg, did you talk to our team in Seattle, Tomas and the team, about SMS direct marketing?
No, I don't think so.
You might want
to
hit him up. I think Tomas is on. You might want to try to connect up because the SMS thing's been working out pretty well.
Yeah.
Everybody's at home during the season, during COVID. So because they're home, they're bored. And because they're bored, they're answering texts and responding, talking. And so, you know, it's a pretty cool marketing strategy. Might be something to consider since Hawaii just went into your second lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah, Tomas, if you can, hit me up. Let me see if I can message you.
Yeah, feel free to message me, and I'll answer whatever questions you got.
Greg, are you guys only sticking to Maui, or you know, make your way to Oahu and Big Island or anything?
We're focused on Maui. If something comes up on another island, we're certainly open to it. But yeah, I mean, I know this market.
Banana?
Right.
What's that?
I want to know what Richie's doing.
I was just gonna say, I know what he's doing. I know what you're doing, bro. That's hilarious.
What is that? Is that?
He's making more bullets.
Oh my gosh.
He's making bullets.
Hey, what? Can I show everybody the present I got you for your birthday? Huh? You muted, bro.
I think you gotta, dude.
Hold on.
You don't know Richie. This guy's a gun enthusiast. Definitely firmly believes in the Second Amendment.
Gotta be.
Ooh.
Look at
And
that
if you know
shirt.
Richie, he's always got a fancier car behind him every single time.
What is that? A Porsche?
That's a Supra, Toyota Supra.
Oh, the Supra.
Supra. Wow. What
Oh,
year is that?
2020
2020.
or 19, I don't know. They just came out this year, the remodel.
Yeah, so this one was the launch edition. This is number 38 of 1500.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm putting air suspension on it.
That's why we do real estate investing, is so we can buy really cool depreciable assets. That's awesome, man. Fantastic.
You gotta, who's got the controls?
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm gonna mute everybody, so if you want to talk, be sure to unmute yourself. And while we're on mute, it is Alexander, who is in Alaska right now. It's his birthday tomorrow. He turns all of, what do you turn now? 22?
Yeah, 32. I wish it was 22.
32 years old. So tell us some gem of wisdom in your 32 years of life regarding real estate investing and all that you've discovered.
I'd say the biggest thing I've learned with real estate investing is you got to involve the right people in your circle. And you gotta get people that are doing things that you want to do and that have the real life experience, so you can ask the right questions and get experience from the people that are in the exact situation you want to be and doing the things you want to do, because it's a lot better to ask them than somebody that's just reading out of a book that's never done anything. So get the right people in your circle, form relationships, because relationships are the key.
That's beautiful. Woohoo! I love it. I love it. Well, they
Alex, Alex, tell everyone what you encountered the other night in your backyard in Alaska.
Oh yeah, I had a little moose. Played with my little moose friend the other night.
Is there such thing as a little moose?
No, he was massive. He was not little by any means.
Well, I just want to say for Alex on his behalf, and maybe I can embarrass him a little bit on his birthday, but the birthday boy, he's the best networker and connector that I've ever met. And this guy knows exactly, how to serve people. So, and he's a brother of ours. And for his birthday, we're sending him to across the nation to go close a big deal. So happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Dinner and a cake in Washington, D.C. is on us.
Hell yeah. I love it.
That's awesome. Thanks for that, Gem, too. That's actually super solid. I think that, when I look at you, that is totally true. They say that you're the average of the top 5 people you hang around with the most. And you're always one that's seeking people that are mentoring you and coaching you, but at the same time, you're lifting others up too. So it's awesome. It's fun to do life with you. So happy birthday from all of us. We'd all sing, but I'm not so sure we want to record that. That may not hit any wonderful charts.
Probably not going to make the top 10.
We might make top 9. That's awesome. Well, cool. Should we get started, Corey?
Yeah, it looks like everybody's kind of in. So we're ready to rock and roll. Thank you guys again for coming on. Today we have Keone, who's a dear friend of ours and experienced investor here in Hawaii, and he's done multiple projects. He's in with us on our big development project out in Makaha, and I wanted to ask him a few questions about the project management side, because in real estate investing, right, there's basically like 3 phases. The process is simple, but it's not easy, right? There's acquisition, execution, and disposition. So we talk a lot about acquisition, about finding deals and funding deals. Today, we kind of want to talk about the execution side. And I know Keone is a guy that I watch, and when I'm done and I hopefully have a lot of money just sitting in the bank, I'm keeping an eye out on which investors, who I really want to, put my trust and my money in. And Keone is definitely one of them. I definitely would love to. Hopefully he's not retired too by that time. So, but we're going to talk about the, you know, what it takes to manage a project. And I'm going to ask Keone and kind of hopefully get some nice nuggets out there, because no matter what asset that you're managing, there's always some sort of project management side of it, right? Unless you're wholesaling. But, you know, if you're actually acquiring properties, whether it's a syndication, you're repositioning, you know, a commercial property, there's usually some sort of project management involved. And there's a lot of moving pieces. And that's where kind of people can kind of go backtrack, you know, and kind of get behind on the project. So hopefully, you know, today we can pick his brain and we'll open up to questions and answers. But before that, why don't we dive into leads, needs, and good deeds? I know there's a couple people on the call here that need something. Where you guys at? What do you need, Keone?
I need a nap.
I need to know where you got that canopy. Ashley and I would need to know.
Oh, the canopy above my head.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Retractable.
For those of you who don't recognize it, I'm on our back patio because it's 80 degrees in Seattle, and there's Seattle today. It's gorgeous.
Nice.
Hanging outside, enjoying. But yeah, you get the I think it's canopies from Sunset something, Sunstar. It's the commercial. It's the infomercial that's on TV at 2:00 in the morning.
Okay.
That's where you get it at. Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure there's somebody. Anybody got a lead or a
lead? Who's on here?
Pearson, what you got going on?
Right now, I'm coming up with a presentation for development sector of the company that we're working on for new spec homes on the beach.
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
we're at GC Miami Beach. Sorry. So we're at GC. We got in with a New York investor recently. He's putting 3 spec homes up there, insane houses, and we want to start to roll this into more like a fund where we can start doing this at our discretion with some capital.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're on Miami Beach?
Yep.
Oh, right on. That's where I'm from.
You're from Miami? Amazing. I moved down here from Boston.
Keone Catian?
I don't. I've been down here for 4 years. I'm still working the market and getting to understand it's a big market.
Oh, okay. I think she dominates on the South Beach real estate market. She's a broker.
Is she in commercial, multi, residential?
Oh, residential.
Okay. Yeah, we're working. There's a lot of agents down here. I think 1 in every 14. I forget the statistic. Miami has a plethora of agents, a lot of which I personally don't know if are qualified, but nothing about your friend. But I mean, we have a lot of agents.
It's true, kind of everywhere. Speaking of a need, I do have a couple clients that are looking for a Miami investor-friendly agent or broker. So if anybody's got anybody that you'd recommend.
I have one actually off the bat. I can shoot you their info. He actually has the listing for my property right now.
Perfect. That would be fantastic. I will be sending him several referrals.
I'll shoot it to you on Instagram. Is that cool?
Perfect. Instagram, Facebook. It's amazing how many different ways you can shoot people these days.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's good. Awesome.
I have a need if I can jump in.
Yeah. How's everything on the Big Island?
It's beautiful. It's hot, but we're high, so it's hot and breezy. So it's best of everything, you know?
Nice.
I was at the beach yesterday afternoon. It can't be bad.
Yeah,
I can complain, but no one will listen, right?
Yeah. Did you tell your most recent project?
I beg your pardon?
I think your most recent project was on market, right?
Yeah, we've got 2 more views tomorrow. In fact, they're viewing the one that won't be finished for another month. So kind of the word is out, which is great.
Awesome.
Which leads me to the fact that we've cleared and put the septic in our next home. So it'll be the same one, but because of that, we're looking for about 120. So if anyone wants to lend 120 at 10%, we're good to go. Gotcha.
The last time, did you have a few people hit you up on possibilities of partnering with you?
Yeah, we had a couple of inquiries. One's from an HML. We kind of shy away a little bit from HMLs. We find that the project works nicely with PMLs. Yep. But yeah, it's good. And there's a couple of other outlets too. So yeah, it's all good. But if anyone wants to jump in.
Jim, we may have somebody for you. I'll hook up with you right after the call.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott.
All right.
Yeah.
No problem.
Actually, not to burn you, but we're kind of looking for the same thing too. But for Maui, we're looking for private money lenders that want to partner on some of our flips.
How much are they looking for?
Either, we're looking for like, we don't have a deal right now to fund, but generally we're looking for a minimum of about 400,000, and we're looking for somebody that either wants to partner for a set return like 10%, or an equity partnership position, like as much as 20% equity share in the profits of the deal.
I'll definitely
secured
keep that open.
by the asset.
The people we have now, they want to go a couple of people up to like 250 at this point. So
yeah,
maybe in the near future though. But I'll look out for you for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, and it would be the whole goal is to just have one investor partner per deal, so that the property is completely secured in their name. We don't have like 5 different people putting money into one deal.
That's great. That's second lien positions, deed secured, promissory note.
It would be first position.
Nice. Perfect. Okay. First position lien, secured deed, and a promissory note. So hit up Greg on Maui if you're interested. Did you guys close out that $1 million flip with Brandon Turner?
We did. Yeah, we closed it August 5th, and we made a profit. So
that's always
not
good.
what we hoped for, but we made 50 grand. So considering that the world came to an end.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Our challenge was that it was not a residential kind of, Kahului or Wailuku, where people on Maui live.
Yeah.
It was the Wailea market, which is really like where retirees from the mainland moving here, or second home, like all those buyers were our market. And so because we were listing it in April, basically the majority of our market was on the mainland saying, we're interested, we want the house, but we can't come see it until lockdown ends. So we're not gonna make an offer until we can come see it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that was a challenge, but we got out of it, we sold it, and we made some money and worked out. Definitely happy with it. Definitely a home run considering the circumstances.
100%. Just kind of by way of debrief, if you were to do one thing different, and if you knew everything you know now, what would you have done different in that flip? Sorry, I probably should have texted you the question.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. I mean, I think that's kind of the reason why we want to have private money lender partners on deals. Specifically for deals like that, we work with Keone a lot, and we love Keone and huge supporters and recommend everybody to Keone. But on this price of a property, it would have been nice to have just had a private money partner where we didn't have, interest payments, so that we could just hold it and wait. We wouldn't have to worry about holding costs accumulating over the period. So we had to just accept an offer where we made some money, but it wasn't like a home run. Under a normal market, it wouldn't have been a home run. But whereas if we had been a little bit more conservative, we're already really conservative, but been a little bit more conservative, and just didn't have to worry about such high holding costs, then we could have just waited it out, and we could have sold for definitely could have sold for 100,000 more.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's what's interesting about COVID is it's causing all of us on our deal analysis to just be a little bit more conservative and not be so optimistic, and everything that looks like it's a little got too much cushion in there, I think it's good to ratchet it down. But man, I think congratulations, 50,000 in the midst of COVID is excellent profit.
Yeah, and it was like a very, lipstick kind of flip. We spent 30 grand on rehab on a 2,000 square foot $1 million house, which, basically painted the outside and renovated one bathroom. And yeah,
those are the best kind. Everybody would take a deal like that all day.
Yeah.
30,000 in, make 50,000 back out. Sounds pretty good.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah, we do it again.
Do you feel like the pressure, since like you guys obviously are you and Brandon are kind of public figures in this space, right? And there's a lot of eyeballs on you, and you you make it known on what deals you're going into. So like there's a lot of accountability, you know, for all the hundreds of thousands of people that listen to Bigger Pockets and stuff. Like, do you guys feel any type of pressure on that, or is it just business as usual?
Probably a little bit. But for me, the pressure more is about just making the money, especially with the baby on the way. It's like, I want to produce as much as we possibly can in the next 6 months so that I can take a little bit of a break when the baby comes. It's really more about just setting up our financial future and, you know, making sure that we don't have to worry about finances no matter what happens, especially with COVID going on. You know, it's like, well, we don't know where the economy is going to go in the next few years. So yeah, we just want to have a really nice cushion. I don't think I feel too much of the pressure from Brandon. He's so, I think I would feel more pressure if Brandon wasn't so easygoing, laid back, and just such an easy guy to work with. You know, he's not intimidating for how big and, you know, how much of an influencer he is. He's just such an easy guy to work with. He's so laid back.
Yeah, he definitely belongs in Hawaii. Yeah. Well, okay.
I don't mean to switch gears, but I do have a possible wholesale. Corey and I have a possible wholesale on North Shore. I can put it in the chat, but real quick, it's going to be 9 or 10 structures, a fourplex, a triplex, 2 duplexes, and a couple single families in Haleiwa on 2 acres. Still determining price, all grandfathered in, 5 cesspools, 1 septic, challenging to upgrade any of those or pull permits on anything. So it would just be pretty much a cash flow, brings in $240,000 a year right now.
Nice.
Sorry, I didn't mean to switch gears or cut anyone off. I just,
no,
I'm going to be leaving in a moment.
Yeah. So can you run the overview of all the numbers again?
It's 9 or 10 structures, a fourplex, a triplex, 2 duplexes, and a few single standing homes. He said 6, but I only counted 3 or 4. It brings in $240,000 a year. It's on 2 acres, and it's got 5 cesspools, 1 septic. So it's all grandfathered in because you're only supposed to have 1 house, but it's been there since the 30s and 40s. They're going to be coating all of the roofs, not replacing them, just coating all of them. And they're in fair to average condition on the interiors.
And they're occupied right now.
Everything's occupied right now and everyone's paying rent.
What's the ask price?
I've got to go determine that. So
well, if it brings in $240 a year, we'll give them $240.
So he's looking, I mean, I don't know.
I'll do $241.
42.
300.
It's gonna be a little bit more than that, but just to put it out there, I'll post it when it's ready. I don't know. I have no idea where to I'll send out the details. But if anyone is really interested and has a number in mind above 241,
Richie was at 300, so we'll go 301. Okay, actually, one question to be kind of serious is, I know in some communities, even though the property may be grandfathered in, the septic tank may not. And so it might be worth just checking to make sure that if the septic company then comes up to have to expand the septic to accommodate that large of a number of bedrooms, then they may not be able to actually do it. So that may not be true in this particular situation. I've experienced it once so far, so something to keep in mind.
Oh no, so they've already gotten so you can only have 1 septic tank per 5 bedrooms, and so that you have a legal fourplex, a legal triplex, and those duplexes, those are all each 5 bedrooms or more, and
wow.
So 5 cesspools, and then those cesspools are, I mean, it's Wild West, it's North Shore. So when the time comes, you're going to either have to get like your own, there's these, sort of like your own sewage system on site which is pretty
Gotcha.
expensive, but I've seen it happen on the North Shore one time. And it's got like its own percolating system and everything, which you could put in the parking and technically park on top if you put a concrete layer. And then also, if you were to actually individually upgrade each cesspool, you'd have to tear down some of the structures because you're legally allowed one. And so you would be buying just for cash flow, lipstick rehabs on it, hold it as long as you can. You're not required to upgrade septics until 2050. It's going to be a challenge to do that. And it's North Shore. So it'll all have to be North Shore style.
Yeah. But yeah, if the price reflects that challenge and you have to push it out, 40 years before you have to invest that kind of thing, it may be worth it. Although parking on top of a doo-doo cesspool just doesn't sound like a marketing plus to me, but you know.
I have concrete on top.
We have that at our house.
Oh yeah? You park your Porsche on top of doo-doo.
Yeah.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah, well, we have septic with the leach field. We have a drive on, or is it leach field? Yeah, where we have the drive on leach field.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in Maui, if you're not on sewer, if you have cesspool, you're required to convert it to septic. No. So basically, any property on Maui, if you buy a property on Maui and it's on cesspool, you have to consider that it has to be converted to septic. You can't get any permit approved until you convert to septic, and you're required to convert to septic by 2050.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I guess it sounds like Oahu doesn't have that.
No, it's the same.
Oh, you do have it. Okay.
Yeah. That's why I said it has to be lipstick rehabs, no permits. And plus, if you pull permit, everything's grandfathered in. So even if you were to pull permits anyways, you might be required to tear down and just build a massive fourplex or something. So it's for somebody who wants to keep it, cash flow on it for as long as they possibly can, and then tear everything down, build a massive fourplex because it's 2 acres, a really prime spot, and then, put in a massive cesspool after that. Septic after that, like in 20 years or 30 years. But you're going to want to capitalize what's there existing right now, because as soon as you have to pull permits or upgrade anything, you'll have to probably take a lot of it down.
Yeah.
Well, what's the zoning? It sounds like it's 2 acres. Could it be a good development for a CPR?
No, it's 3 acres. He's already CPR'd it. So one house I'm going to be selling is on an acre, and it's on a 100-year-old fish pond. The other one is 2 acres. He was going to CPR all of it and make it a development opportunity, but there's houses on the boundary lines on top of stuff. It wouldn't work logistically speaking. So unless if the new owner will consolidate their acre, make it 3-acre parcel again, and go through a 3-unit CPR after tearing everything down, you would be just stuck with the 2 acres. It'd be a 2-unit CPR. You can't CPR it again once it's CPR'd.
Gotcha.
It can go through a variance and possibly, that's going to take years though.
Well, cool. Put it on the Facebook exchange. Once you get a price. 301. 302. We'll go 302. Come on. Make it happen.
Wait, to be clear, are we talking about $300,000, or are we talking about $3 million?
I like it.
Well, really, if you look at a cash flow play, you got to look at the first you have to get the NOI, right? And you have to find out what your cash on cash returns will be. So, whether you know the acquisition price or the asking price or not, you could come up with an answer. You just have to know like the expenses. There's more details that have to be provided. So Ashley will post that in the Facebook group when she's ready. But I guess for now, if anybody else has anything that they need or they have to give, if they want to have some of their money working for them, their lender, there's a lot of investors out here looking for financing. So feel free to leave your details in the chat or come on the Facebook group. But Kiko, can you send controls over to Keone, please? And then we'll get right into it.
How come you have to ask something so complicated? Justin, can you take over and make that happen?
Because I don't know how to do it.
Where's our tech guy? Where's our tech guy? I'm not even using my normal computer. I'm outside.
I think if you just click on his icon, it will say make host. I think that's what it should do.
Oh.
Do we trust what Keone is about to do as the host?
It's worth a shot.
I don't need controls. I don't need controls. We'll just talk about it.
No. I want you to share your scope, your stuff.
Oh, okay. Where's that at?
There you go.
You are now the host, brah.
Hey.
So now that you're the host, we all like drinks. We all like poo-poos. We all like some music.
It's Aloha Friday. It's
right.
5:30 somewhere already.
Yeah, East Coast. It's 1:30 here in the Pacific Northwest. You guys are barely getting out of bed. Corey literally rolled out 2 minutes before. But, I wanted to add to Corey's introduction that Keone's he's the real deal when it comes to real estate investing. It's been fun because we've done life with Keone for several years now. We started off kind of all together, just kind of working together. We were on the same team and did some deals together. And then we just started watching each other and helping each other, and it's been cool. Keone's just crushing it. And when we say, sometimes you use the adjective crushing it, and you kind of just describe everybody who's doing something cool. But Keone's legit. He's actually making some really, really, really cool things happen. He's building great homes for families to live in. He's helping to do a price point that local families can afford in Hawaii. And then on top of that, he's making good money for his own family, which is just super cool. So with that, Keone, we're excited to have you kind of walk us through. I think a lot of people that join us for Coffee Talk are either just getting started or maybe done 1 or 2 deals and, are just kind of asking those basic questions to get started on, how do you look at or a deal? How do you run that scope of work? How do you think through some of the questions that they don't know how to think through because they don't know what questions to ask yet. So just jump in. And then if anyone's got questions along the way, throw it in the chat and then we'll just interrupt you as we go on.
Sure. Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, thanks for having me. Definitely, I'll do my best, to hopefully add value. That's what this thing is all about, and that's why I appreciate you guys in Coffee Talk. There's so much value that I always gain from this, so definitely I'll do my best. First off, I guess I would say introduction is, I'll definitely put a disclaimer out there that I'm by no means an expert. Nor am I claiming that what I'm about to share is like the means or the end all be all of the process itself. And the reason why I say that is truly I'm forever tweaking, constantly in search of really dialing in my process to make it better. And I would definitely want you guys to continue to actually also do the same thing, right? Like you can use this if you're a newbie as maybe a blueprint or a template, but don't consider this like anything is set in stone, right? I think there's a wise man that once said change is the only constant. And that's what we're always doing, right? We're always adapting as investors. We always got to make sure we know how to pivot, where to pivot to, and leaning on people like all of you guys is what I definitely account on. I've got some great people on this chat right now. So anyways, that being said, I kind of wanted to just share the process from when we got it under contract, and I'll start from there. Like, I think we know how we talked about deal analysis, right? Running the numbers, and I think we got that, I guess, that part of it for the most part. We can dive in if you want to, but it's the part like, okay, I got it under contract now. Now, what exactly, how do I move forward and make sure that it's successful in closing and then all the way through, right, as far as doing the whole rehab? And I guess just to let everybody know, I'm based out of Oahu. And I pretty much do all of my flips and all of my projects on this island. So when I talk about like driving to the property or like doing site visits, I know some of you don't because it's like out of state. So just keep that in mind. You just have to hire your power team and do the same thing as well. But I guess the first thing is the due diligence, right? When we get it under contract, and just making sure that you use your time wisely once you get under contract and you're only allotted so much time as far as when it comes to that, what we call it here, the J1 inspection, right? So in that time period, depending upon what you agreed upon is your inspection period, whether it's 5 days up to 14 days, that you utilize that time wisely. And what I mean by that is make sure, if you haven't already, bring out your contractors. And I would recommend bringing in at least 3 out. And even bringing out a home inspector, but with the contractors, I would bring them all out there already have your scope already somewhat prepared, an initial scope that you want to go over with them, and then you want to get them that bid back, from them. And what I mean is, if you don't set a date when to get that bid on how much that project is going to be, contractors have a tendency, and no knock on anybody who was a contractor on this, but they'll basically just take as much time, and time is of the essence, right? So as soon as we get on the contract, I would say get out there and actually get a contractor to make sure you can get a bid, because we ran our numbers already, but now we need to legitimize and make sure that what we had put on paper is the actual amount that a contractor can do. And then, you know, see if that's going to work out on that end. I would even also,
quick question. What, when you get under contract, right?
Yeah.
Do you go in first and do your scope of work first, or do you do it when you bring the crew in to take the bids?
No, yeah, great question, Corey. So what I do, and the way I fine tune it, I used to do it that way, but I was losing time. So if I know that I'm going to lock this deal up, especially if it's off market, I already got it already, you know, like I'm pretty sure I'm the guy. But it's the MLS ones that like I'm in competition and you're not sure, and you don't want to waste time until you are actually under the contract. And there's always a chance that, you know what, it's going to fall out because once you find out the numbers, it don't work. But to answer your question, I do it before. And I'll get out there myself, especially if it's vacant, and I'll take all of those photos. So that way I have a feel for that. Yeah, like, okay, I know I'm actually, I breed what the project is, not just off of photos on the screen, but I've actually walked through it and I kind of know how the texture is of everything, the smell and all of these different things that needs to go into that. So I'll actually incorporate photos into my scope before I even meet my contractor. So when I meet them, I'm already prepared with a pretty detailed scope of work. And fortunately, for the last 4 deals now, at least, gotten pretty dialed into it where we don't veer too much from what actually that scope was when we initially bought it. So the vision was pretty damn clear and we put it on paper, and end up at the end of the day, when we actually look at it, it's like, wow, there wasn't too many unforeseens and anything that had required some major change orders. So getting dialed in and really getting down and dirty with the scope of work, spending the time, it takes time, but it's really worth it doing that. So I'll do that prior, and then every contractor that I bring out, I'll slap them this scope of work and we'll walk through the whole thing. And I said, make sure, take this home and please read through every one, so that way you can get a clear picture of how much money it's going to cost you and give me the labor and material. So that way, like, oh, I thought this, like I'll literally say like quartz countertops, right? Not like, oh, I thought you were just going to use generic, you know. So little things like that. And then that's always open for conversation. But the more you can put down on paper, there's not room for assumptions. Yeah.
Right.
So I do it up front. Yeah.
So it matters whether it's off market or on market. If it's on market,
I'll wait till I get under contract. And then once I'm under contract, I'll start already doing it. Yeah, I'll start already draft out and start doing the contract. I'll get out there myself. Like I'll set it up. I guess I should also say that if it's an MLS deal, I am a licensed agent. So if I'm dealing with another agent there, then I'll just go and see it myself and then take all the photos myself and whatnot. So that way I'm prepared. Yeah. Either way, you're an agent or not, it doesn't matter. I will definitely get out there before the agents, before the bringing in your contractors. Yeah.
Right.
And then you just let them know that I'm going to be coming back with my people.
So you have the scope alongside with pictures and stuff kind of ready to, they're reviewing it before they go on site. Is that what you're saying?
No, I give it to them when I'm there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to randomly give out scopes and whatnot. I'll make sure that these are the guys that I've actually vetted properly and bring them out there. And then once they're on site, that's when I give them the actual scope. And then I say, let's walk through it. Yeah.
Okay. And you have like 2 or 3 crew that you kind of is your go-to, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll always have, so 3 is the go-to that I, at this point worked with, but then there's always one that, there's always a bunch that always wants to jump in. So I'll test them out. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's not just the numbers. Yeah. It's whether or not you can work with these contractors. Yeah.
Yep.
So everybody thinks that like, oh yeah, the numbers work, but like, you got to be able to work with these guys.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you say is the next step? So like the contractors got to come in, and do you bring them all one time or do you bring them in one by one?
Yeah, so I actually purposely set them up. If it all works out, I'll set a date and I'll set them up like half-an-hour increments. And usually it goes over, so they're literally leaving while the other one's coming. I don't like them all running and doing the same thing, because otherwise they don't really want to be open. about like the way they do their process, and I get it. So like I'll set it up in half hour increments, and then so as soon as one's like, all right, man, shaking hands, the other one's pulling like, oh, and they all have the ladders and so they know that's a contractor, right? Or they have the emblem on the side of the cars, and they already know like, okay, I'm not the only guy, so I better put my best foot forward if I really want this job, take it seriously. Yeah. So yeah, I don't set them all up at once, but like there's a lag in time on the same day. And I do let them know I'm up front as well. Hey, you know what? You're one of the guys that I want, so you're in competition. So hopefully it works out. I love to work with you. Just at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers, yeah.
Because it's always a balance between like investing in somebody to build a relationship, but also making sure that they know that there's people right behind them that can come in and do this for maybe less money, right?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
faster. Right. So, so I think that's always a balance that we're battling, whether we just roll with one crew and from my experience doing that, it can work out. But as you start to scale things, you may need two crews, two GCs, possibly handling different projects because things slip through the cracks. Right.
Yeah.
Or the numbers start to go higher.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. And I guess I'll roll right into the next thing. Like that was the due diligence phase, like doing that part. So like, I guess before I move forward to the other part, what you're talking about is I just want to add to that due diligence phase is you brought the guys out. I would also consider, because a lot of people might not look, I don't know construction. I don't know what I need to be looking for. So if that's the case, I would also think about I would recommend hiring an actual professional home inspector and paying the money. Like it's a $300. And the reason why is you use that home inspection, that 30+ page home inspection report as a buffer. Like this is what needs to be done to this house. And that's like the guidance, and you hand that right over to your contractor that you're going to hire. And all of these items need to get done in order to be brought up to code and we can sell this property. So by using that home inspector, you kind of look professional, like, okay, he might not know, but this is from an inspector. So you add that onto the scope because you might not even have that in your scope. Oh, I didn't realize all of these things. So now you got this page, and mind you, this is what they're going to be. In order to sell the house, everything needs to be checked off on that professional home inspector. So why not do it from the beginning? And then I guess the other thing I would say is if you are going to hire him up front, work out a deal, a discounted deal to bring them back in at the end. I would say in final punch list stage to work out a deal. Like, can I get a discount? I'm going to hire you again, but I don't want to pay the $350 or whatever it's going to be. Can you give me a discount? Because basically they're just checking what you said and it should be all done. But now you also use that again as leverage. Like, I'm not going to cut you a check, Mr. Contractor, until all of these items are done, because once you pay them that final check, they're out. Like you try calling back when you're in contract on the sell side. Hey, you know what? All these repairs came up. These J1 inspections came up. Can you come back out? And they're like, I'll try to make it out there, but they're on to the next project. But if you keep that carrot dangling and like now you got an inspection, it helps out to make sure that you're more confident. There's more peace of mind going into the sale price. Yeah. So now that you go on market and then the buyers on the other end is already going to bring in a home inspector, now you kind of go like, I pretty much checked all the boxes, and you could also use that final home inspection report and give that to the buyers. Like, we've already done it. We've already paid it. You want to save your money? Here's the inspection report, boom. And this is all the way the house looks right now. So that all helps out, right? That's a big due diligence part that helps the process just flow smoother. Yeah.
That's a great tip and you can also use it for negotiating your purchase price when you're buying it too, right? I mean, if a lot of things come up and you're like, I wasn't expecting this, like there's a lot of moisture behind this wall here, like, where if you didn't bring a home inspector, you wouldn't have known, right? Like, unless you have the equipment to inspect it. But what about bringing in like someone to scope the lines, the plumbing lines?
I don't do that up front. It's actually in the scope that I would actually ask the contractor. It's his responsibility, like how's the electricians, how's the plumbers? Do we have to replumb? Do we have to rewire? So all of these things as far as scoping, I don't do that in the upfront. I'll find that and I'll put that in the budget. Yeah, like what do we have to do? Like, we're gonna fully replumb everything. And when I talk about that, it's like going from corrugated to, ABS, like, changing all of that out to bring it up to code. I have that in the scope. But whatever they have to do it as far as conducting, I don't really get into the nitty gritty, but I'm saying like whatever the plumber needs to do to bring this up to code, we're doing it. Same like the electrical. Do we have enough amperage in there? You know, like, are we able to actually run off of this amp, or do we have to upgrade to 200 amps? I don't know, you know, so I don't know. That's not my skill set, but like you as the contractor need to let me know because that's your crew. I'm hiring you, and the budget should include not just the labor part of your crew, but also plumbing, you know, and everything else, whatever requires to get the project up to speed. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So that's more of the due diligence phase. So once you pass your inspection period and you know you're going forward, what's the next step?
Yeah, it's and this is the big one, man. So I'll tell you right now, and actually Richie's on here too. But we can attest to this. Up to this point, I'll tell you right now, I'll be honest, kind of embarrassed to share, but I'll definitely share this, that up to this point, I can't even remember the last time that I've been on time and on budget. And this is a big thing. And the reason why I say that up front right now is because the biggest takeaway I want you guys to take away on this is crystal clear communication. You gotta have crystal clear communication, yes, with everybody on your team, but specifically thoroughly communicate with your hired general contractor. The reason why is we as investors talk about our thing is being on time and on budget. That's our model that we live by. That's our creed. You know who holds the keys to that? It's your general contractor. Whether you finish on time or on budget, it's up to them. And at the end of the day, I look at it, and I'll use a sports analogy that the contractor that you hire, he's like the quarterback of your team, right? He's your star player. So it's like you're banking on him to cross the finish line and you win the game for you, right? So it's like you can't just hand over the keys and like, cool, I'm on to the next. Let me know. I'll cut you my check, you know, like every week. Let me know the problem. You can't do that, right? But he is your star quarterback that you hire. But just remember, you are still the coach. You call the plays, and you got to make sure that it actually fulfills, right? Whatever it is, but you got to thoroughly communicate with him what expectations are, what are the milestones, like literally digging into what is expected in order to finish. Like if it's an 8-week project, okay, spend the time, break down to me what exactly are we talking about? Like how is the week by week, you know, action plan gonna play out? For me, I would recommend, because this is what I do, like even with the contractors to date, every Sunday, I request that they give me a breakdown of what the week looks like. Because normally we break down and we pay on a weekly basis every Friday, or whatever way you break out the way you're gonna pay out your contractors. And if they tell me on Sunday, this is what we're going to do this whole week, and it has to validate the budget, yeah, that you're giving them. So if you're cutting them, I don't know, like 10 grand a week, whatever it might be, want to make sure that 10 grand of work gets done every week. If they fall behind, that's fine. Things happen, but that means I shouldn't have to pay you that amount, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting out there and you're talking about all of these things. So communication is lost. The reason why I say that is every time I feel that we're crystal clear, we're not. Detailed scope of work and whatnot. So like everything has to be so thorough, and it makes sense, you know, and it's on both ways, right? They just assume. So like I can't stress enough. This is the thing that is always our downfall. That we're never on. I mean, call it a win if you can even be on time or on budget, one of them. But most likely they go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly. You know, the reason why you're not on time is because the budget got blown up. The reason why you're not on budget because now you're going over time. So it's like that needs to be really fine-tuned and really thoroughly vetted out with your contractor. It's just paramount, man. Like transparency is the goal. Being honest, but that, you know what, trust is earned, right? So it's not given. So hopefully you build out, you know, this is a relationship business and you're not just, you know, like barking at him and giving him information, but once you can get to the point of having an open line of communication and being transparent, because the reason why I say that is you want to know how he's running his numbers. When you're looking for a budget, the budget aspect of it is the biggest deal. So it's like if he say that I can do the job for 85 or 100,000 or whatever it might be, but you're like, gee, I think this is only a $80,000 job, then have him reverse engineer it for you. But normally your first time you're working with a contractor, he's not going to show his cards. You know, he's not going to want to show you because at the end of the day, they're taking some type of percentage, right? They got to make overhead before they pay their guys. And normally it's between 10 to 15% that they want to make on top of that. So that budget is like they're running their numbers. But I don't know if this is making sense, and, you know, feel free to stop me, but the budget aspect of things is like making sure that you're on the same page, that if he's saying that is $100,000, tell me how that breaks down between labor and material. Because the way I'm seeing it, everything, labor and material, can be done for 80,000. So I never show my cards, and Corey, you can attest, because this is the way we learned in the past. We always used to tell them, because they were always asking, oh, you have a budget in mind? And then for me, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I'm like, oh yeah, and we'll tell them, but you're not supposed to show your cards. I know that now, but before it was like, yeah, because when you run your spreadsheet, it's like, oh yeah, as long as they finish on this number right here, I'm good, because my profit looks good, my ROI is good. I don't care if they use the whole thing, or even if it's cheaper, but that's not the case. Because if they say, you say 85, and they're like, oh, this is only a $60,000 job. Oh, yeah. That's going to be a little tight, but I think, and then they start giving you the whole line, right? Like, and then when the unforeseen happens, once you start peeling back the onion, you opening up the drywall and stuff like that. Now that 85 all of a sudden is now 100, when you had that leverage to begin with, but because you showed your hand. So hold that close to your vest in the beginning. Later on, as you build that relationship, again, you can be transparent about it, like, you know, how you're working. I'll give you a quick example, is that on a job that I just started, it's like I was trying to figure out the number, and everybody was coming and telling me that the job was going to take, you know, 60 to 70,000. And I was running the numbers, I'm like, no ways, man. At the most, it would be 50,000, you know, not no 70. So I just wanted to understand, because I said, this job would only take 3 guys. You know, if your daily rate on guys, you know, even skilled labor, and in Hawaii, I don't know, it's different than everybody else, but skilled labor guys are high level guys, normally 300, but for the most part, it's in the 200 range, right? So like I kind of just ran the numbers, like 3 guys times whatever that amount, 250, whatever it might, it breaks down like, okay, that's their daily rate. If they're working 5 days a week, here's the number. So you open up to like 3,750, 3,700 a week. Then I'm like, this job is only going to take 4 weeks at the most. So labor should only be 15,000. And then the materials, I already know, like I'm not going to go full scale and whatnot. So I'm like, man, this is breaking down. It should only be 35,000, but maybe I'll just give the 5,000 extra and it's 40,000. So when I ran it like that and I said, what am I missing? I was actually on point. That's the overhead, right? That's the overhead that they're trying to make. So if you kind of learn your numbers that way, like just learn daily rate of whatever they're paying their guys, times how many, and I'm sure this is basic. I don't think this is groundbreaking for anybody, but this is the first time you're hearing it. That's the way you would run numbers very loosely, that you take how many guys it takes to do the job, you times their daily rate, times the amount of days that they're working, and then you times that by the weeks that they say it's going to take. And that should come up to what your labor costs on the construction side should be, not including the materials. Yeah.
And materials you should kind of know, right? Because you can go to Home Depot and kind of just take a, you know, inventory list of what roughly it costs per square foot.
Yep.
And so you'll know if you're being like overcharged, right?
Yes.
Even if other bids come in at the same price.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes down to like balancing, okay, maybe they want 5,000 more, you know, than you budgeted for, but is it worth it if they can do it 2 months quicker or something? Yep. Our holding costs in our price point in our market is roughly anywhere from like 6,000 to 10,000, you know, on some projects, you know, where it's in the millions. I mean, we bleed like 15, 20 grand a month, right? Exactly. So yeah, I would trade, you know, going up in budget a little bit more if that means that he's going to bring on 1 extra guy, you know, 1 more powerhouse guy to add to the team and just focus on our project and crank it out. I'm actually saving money, probably. Yeah. Get it done a couple of months faster, right? So what about because this for me is where things can get kind of tricky, is the logistics of managing a project. So meaning, how do you communicate, like who orders the material, who goes to Home Depot and buys the materials, who delivers it on site, who schedules all of that? Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, so, and that's a great question. And again, we always go back to communication. Yeah. Everything is communication. And before I answer that, I'll go back to what you had talked about in the beginning about scaling. Yeah. So right now I'm talking about like small guys like us, you know, like I'm not at the point where I want to do double digit projects. I try to manage as much as I can. And normally it's less than double digits. But for guys that are up there, you know, there's a lot of friends out there that we have that they're just crushing it, doing multiple projects. But the bigger you get, the more demanding communication. It's you need to communicate even more, because now, depending on how the chain of command goes on in your business, you are no longer boots on the ground. You're no longer dealing with the contractor. You probably hired a project manager to handle your job. So now that downline is like the communication has to be even stronger, because you're only getting the tail end, right? You just need an update. Give me the high level overview. You only wanting, all of a sudden shit hits the fan when like, why are we over budget? Blah, blah, blah. And like, it's because of the communication. Yeah. So like the more projects you do, the more stronger your communication skills need to be. But going back to just what we do is like one-on-one, that communication as far as who orders material, normally it's your contractor. There's other guys like, again, that either on this call or, you know, locally, they want to handle the material, you know, because I can control the cost, and they also like getting the discounts. But that's the reason why contractors want to order the materials themselves, because as a company, it builds them credit, especially with Home Depot, and they can get the discounts as well. To me, I mean, the way I do it, I'll leave it all up to the contractors. If it's going to save time and not take them away from having to go down to the cabinets or go down into Home Depot, I will definitely more than gladly go down and actually take care of that, because I want the project to always be constantly churning and running, and not like, oh, I got to go make a run and do this. Like, no, stay there. Especially if he's the general contractor, is like literally hands-on working and not just the guy like barking orders and show up every now and then. I don't want him to leave. I want him to make sure that he has a close rein on his guys. So to answer your question, it's normally I leave it up to the contractors to do all of the ordering. Right. Appliances and stuff like that, I'll pick everything out. So I'll go out there, pick out whatever cabs I want, you know, whatever the case. Going out to the project and actually going with the contractor and making sure all the measurements are there as far as for the layouts. And then like, what are we making sure we're on the same page with the layouts? Because you would hate to keep going back and forth and having to reorder because something got, you know, measured incorrectly. Yeah. So measure twice, order once.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess, did you have something to share, Keone? Did you want to share?
Yeah. So like, I guess this would lead into, again, the communication part. And I don't mind sharing this. Let me see. Oh, where is this thing?
And this is so important because like, and like how you said, it's economies of scale, right? As you scale, if you can control and contain the process, then things get cheaper. You know, the prices can go down for you. You know, it's the laws of economies of scale. But our business, especially in fix and flip, because we're on short time frames as well. But even if you're repositioning, you know, commercial asset or something, it's the project management side is crucial. And especially as you scale, I don't know many, I guess, companies or friends of ours who can scale that don't have issues slipping through the cracks, you know? So like you said, like some of them, like we don't know if they're crushing it, you know, like there's some people who just do a lot of volume. And just from my experience, sometimes the guys doing, you know, a couple of deals here and there probably have a bigger bottom line, you know, and it's because of the execution phase, which we're talking about, that all of the little things add up. You know, like we go over 10 grand over budget. We take 3 months longer, right? That total alone is 10 grand going over budget. You're taking 3 months longer. Like that could be like 30 grand, you know, 30 to 40 grand difference in our market, right? Because we're high price points. So we're in high price points. So the equity, we're in an equity market. So the equity margin is typically a lot larger right? But that means that every little mistake is a lot more costly as well, right? And because our holding costs are very, very expensive. So when I tell people our monthly, overhead just for the mortgages, like they can't comprehend, So, so the execution side is so crucial. And I say, like, there's something about definitely not waiting on the sidelines and having fear of getting in the game, but there is something to growing too fast if you can't manage it and you don't have processes like Keone is talking about today. So go ahead,
Are you
Keone.
able to see the screen? Are you able to see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this right here that I'm sharing is like what we just talked about. Like this is what I do on these projects. So this is an actual scope of work that I drafted up. This is a project that literally just put into contract. So like we're in contract phase right now. We're in inspection phase. And I went out last week on my own, snapped some photos. I walked through the property, and mind you, the property is still being owner occupied, so they're moving out. But already lined up the 3 contractors, and then drafted this thing up. I met with them, and then I kind of went over this project. So it's out in Kaneohe, and this is kind of what it looks like. So I'll go briefly through it just to show you guys what I guess call it a detailed scope of work. The way I've done, again, I'm constantly fine tuning it and tweaking it, but this is where I'm at literally to date. So you're looking at a live deal that we're about to start. I haven't even selected the actual contractor yet. The bids are supposed to come in this weekend, and then we can make a decision. So I'm literally walking through the process that maybe later on we can do how it went, because like we're walking through it right now.
Yeah, I'll be awesome.
So general plan notes, I kind of just give expectations. We talked about expectations, right? So it's like making sure that what we're looking for, speed and efficiency, all the cleanliness, overall being just professional, and then letting them know that before you turn this thing over, we're expecting that, from that final punch list, you got to clean up everything right now, make sure everything's moving and meets our satisfaction. For this one, again, I remind them that, it just needs to be cleaned on a daily basis. Like if you don't tell them that, they're going to do what they do, but you're saying like, we're expecting that this thing, when I show up or people drive by or the neighbors, if it looks like a mess, it's a bad look on you as a company. So just clean it up every day. And it's just a good look all around. For this one, these houses are so close. It's almost zero lot line because the CPR houses are just all jam packed. Still nice drive though. And so I just letting them know that, hey, the surrounding homes are super close. So just be mindful of your start time. Yeah. And just control your noise volume and whatnot. And then again, targeted renovation.
Like keeping the job clean. I think that's a great tip. And like, I'm so guilty of it. Like because what it does is it creates discipline, right? And that's something I gotta work on, because I don't go to the job sites nearly as much. I mean, Layla's the one handling all of this, and so and I know she runs a tight ship too. So, but that's a great tip because it's so simple, but it makes a big difference.
The reason why what happens is when you start bringing in more trades and they see a pile of crap, they just keep tacking on their pile of shit. Like it's not an actual bin anymore, right? You don't have the bin because the bin got moved. So they just pile up dry boards or whatever, it might be drywall, and it just starts compiling. And now the painter came in, throws his paint can over there, all of the buckets over there, because there's no rubbish in there. When you show up, want to do a nice walkthrough or bringing in some potential investors, it's not a good look on you. It's like, dude, this is messy.
Then it becomes an eyesore, and then the neighbors start complaining, they start calling the city, and then you got to deal with those guys. So it's just good habits, and it's a simple thing to instill.
Right. Like I said, it's not groundbreaking stuff, but it's like these take care of the little things, and the big things will take care of themselves, right?
But that is a big deal though, because of the fact that if a trade comes in and there's a bunch of garbage that they have to clear out to do their job, then they're killing 2 hours on your dime and time. And so then they're delayed, and then the next sub is delayed, and pretty soon you're wondering, why do projects take so long? And so, I mean, that's actually a really, really good tip to an efficient project management process. So I'd say, man, it's huge. You don't realize the impact of that, but there's multi-levels on that. So sweet.
Yeah.
So
and then again, just
clean our sites too.
Huh?
We like company in our sites too, bro.
No. No, but then again, just go through things like you said, making sure that you're putting out there like what expectations are. Like I think the project should take 6 to 8 weeks. They can always come back and counter you, right? Like, nah, man, this is an 8 to 10. Well, I'm thinking that 6 to 8. So like, as long as you're putting it out there, putting it on paper, that's a conversation that you need to have and vet that out to make sure, because you're running their numbers based off of at the most on the high end 8 weeks. Now, if they tell you 10 weeks, that's more holding time, that's more budget. So all of these things matter, you know, not just verbally, but making sure that it's always in writing so you can always refer back to the contract and you see the signatures. You know, I sign, you sign, and then we can always go back and things can always change. Like I said, change is always constant, and that's a change order. But in the meantime, we agreed upon because it affects the budget. The bottom line, it's always the budget. And then we just go down and I break it down to exterior and interior. That's it. You know, like I don't get crazy with all the mechanical stuff and like what paint scheme, not up front. I don't want to give them my paint scheme. I'm not going to show them all my cards right up front, especially if they're not going to get hired for the job. So real layman's, keep it open, you know, how the trash out looks. So we'll start off with the exterior, just removing all the crap outside. And this is all me doing it, right? Like while I'm there, I'm taking photos and I go back to my photos because I'm not going to remember everything. But as I draft out my scope, I go, shit, how did the yard look? Okay, what needs to be removed? Now you can always go back to your photos and then like, okay, remove the loose bricks. There's some pavers over there, but I think I want to add an actual sidewalk there. Well, we got to get rid of that. So that's all part of the initial demo and, you know, getting rid of trash out basically. I also noticed that on this one, like there's a bunch of nails all hanging out inside the carport. You don't tell them to remove it. They're just going to paint over it. Like, no. Extract that things, you know, whatever's protruding, pull all of those nails out. So these are little things that like, if you don't tell them, they're not going to pull it out. And then they might say like, oh, that wasn't in the scope. So I'll put it in there, be as detailed as you can. And then, you know, if it's not a big deal or if it is a big deal, talk about it. But it's always a conversation piece. So
yeah, attention to detail is another thing that is a weakness of mine. You know, like that's why it's great to have a team because, you know, Layla's attention to detail is spot on. It's just like you know, and I know that and Kekoa's as well. And me, I don't see that kind of stuff, you know. So, and I know this of myself. So I got to make sure that whoever is running the project is that type of person that can spot those things. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier because you know how you're commenting about the logo. I was like, I didn't even notice we had like a image for the O in the coffee talk, right? And so like exactly like that's your eyes. Like you see that kind of stuff. Layla, you know, she has a little bit OCD, I think. You need a little bit, you know, you need to be able to spot that kind of stuff, right? Because otherwise it goes unseen and then it becomes a problem later. And it's harder
everyone's
to
job harder for them now because you talked me up so much. Now I'm gonna have to put the hammer.
That's right.
That was all part of the plan, actually. That was all strategy.
Oh,
that's how Corey rolls. But you know, to add to what Keone's saying is that, you know, from a general contractor's perspective, working with investors. So right now, our general contracting company has about 70 projects going on right now for various investors. It's so helpful to have the investor be super detailed, like anal type detailed, because then the expectations are all in sync.
Yeah.
Because the contractor wants to be successful. The contractor wants to do their best job. The contractor wants to be on time. The contractor wants to do it right so that way they get to the next job too. So they don't like it as much as investors don't like it. To come to the table and be like, oh, sorry, you know, we went 10,000 over budget, but that's because you never told me that you guys have extra nails in the floor, and extra nails in the ceiling, and you get mold behind the wall. And so the more detailed that investors can be, it actually sets up everybody's success. And to take your company's name, the person whose kuleana it is the investor. It's not the contractors.
Yep.
Investor that must be organized as possible and as A-type, and the more detail, the better. And that's why you're successful, Keone, is because
well, tell everyone what kuleana means. Like
it's responsibility. You know, in Hawaiian, it's actually just you have to own up, and this is your responsibility to take care of whatever is yours. I'll go back to that sports analogy that I said and take that to heart. Like, you're hiring your star player, and he is your star player. Your contractor is, but you are the coach. You're the owner. You're responsible on how you succeed, whether you sink or, whatever. It's your job, you know,
yeah.
Sink or swim.
it means like most of the I guess contractors, right? They don't really want to have to make those decisions. They have enough problems of their own managing the multiple projects that they have, and that's why it's very important. I feel that you know what type of GC you're working with. Just because there's a home builder who's built thousands of homes ground up, just because they have that experience doesn't mean they can renovate a house.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when you renovate a house, it's a lot harder. You have to pivot a lot more, and there's a lot more attention to detail because you're fixing stuff. And it's easier to fix it the first time than have to undo and redo. And Keone and I know this, after all the deals that we've done, it cuts in the momentum of the project, and the momentum is everything in the project. Because when you lose momentum, you lose morale. The guys get sick. There's project fatigue. The crew gets sick of the project. So it's just, oh, we're here again, and it's like they're trying to undo work that wasn't done right or wasn't communicated properly. So you start to lose momentum, and that's all time and budget, and cuts into the profit, right? So the timing of the project isn't just important because you got to go to market. It's also important because there's such thing as project fatigue, and the guys get fatigued about the project. They drive to the same place every time. When it's in the beginning, they have to mobilize. They set up their stations. They know exactly, so they get familiar with the project, so it becomes efficient. But then there comes a point where there's project fatigue, and these guys get sick of it. They're sick of driving to the same spot, sick of, not having a porta potty on site, or, having one, but it's taken. It's very important to manage also, I feel, the morale of the crew and the momentum of the project, right? And that's our job. And that's why, your company's name, and like Keone said, it's our Kuleana. It's our responsibility. We need to take ownership of that and guiding them. Like, we're the coach, like Keone is saying, we're the coach, we're giving instructions, and they're executing, right? So,
even with that though, to add on what you're saying, there's a lot of people who build, you go to that thing that you said about 1,000 homes. For the renovation side, just keep in mind that's sometimes why their budget is so high, is because they want to tear everything out. It's like, no, but then the budget starts expanding, and that's why a lot of them, it's nice to start ground up, but it's like, we're renovating his house. They're like, oh yeah, just rip everything out. Like, no, can we just save? Are we able to patch and repair, and that'll save us some money? So anyways, that's another reason why, you got to really control that budget. But going back to this scope, I'll just go through it briefly. Exterior stuff, just really letting them know I do get detailed about everything, like the plumbing stuff, electrical. I think I mentioned as we were talking that the GC has to determine whether or not it's going to be full plumb or not. Electrical, the amperage thing, I talked about that thing in there, like, hey, is it sufficient, or do we need to increase it or decrease it? Are we okay, or we're going to upgrade everything? Just kind of leaving it up to them to make sure that I'm putting it in there, that this is a big chunk that it should be in the budget. Then anything as far as structurally, I'm letting them know, like, I don't know if you remember that picture at the top, but the house is post and pier. There's not much crawl space if you look at that. So I'm just letting them know that if there's anything under the house that needs to be repaired, whether it's the plumbing, electrical, or even the flooring or the footings, the tofu blocks, make sure to do it from the top. So I'd rather help you guys out. It's easier before we lay floors, rip out the floors, and that way just replumb everything, rewire everything before we lay anything down. Make sure the structure is level and set before we do that. And I'm putting that in there, like, this is important that you guys do it prior. Yeah, like, make sure that the structural things is taken care of first. And then that's a big budget thing, because otherwise, like, oh man, we got to go under the house. The plumber is going to charge you more, because again, he's a separate guy. Like, dude, I got to crawl under that. Anyway, little things like that helps out, right? This is kind of a thing that I wanted to show. I'll just share, like, again, giving them a visual. I'm a big visual person. I can't stress enough. I'm so visual that that's the way I learn better. So with this one, I'm just letting them know up front, like, that staircase is on the left. That's the way it currently looks right now. I'm telling them, like, we're going to redo that staircase, and I want it to look like this. And that's one of the design samples that I use. But I want it to look like that on the entry point. Like I said, we're going to change out that front entry and do all of those things. One of the important parts up there up top above the photo is it's talking about the chain link. And I guess, you know, I had conversations with even Ashley as well about this, that how do I get to my ARV? Again, I mentioned that before, that this property, there's really no privacy at all. So like, what if you want to have a dog to run around or kids to run around? By adding that chain link fence, it'll open up your buyer pool more. So I already saying that up front, add the chain link fence in the budget. Again, I'm telling them to repair and replace the whole existing front entry staircase. But the back side of the house or the side of the house, this deck on the left, it's got to go. So I'm already saying that up front, demo that deck, but I also want it to look like that. I'm telling them like the back side is going to look like this. On the right-hand side, that's a design sample of how I want that deck to look right by that door. And then below this, because I'm saying that, you see the washer, dryer, there's a water heater, there's a utility sink, everything out there. I'm already giving instructions also. Here's the important part right here. This part right here, I want to take all of that out, all of this thing, because we got to make room. We're going to pour a concrete sidewalk and we're going to add, and that's going to be the new house of the washer, dryer, utility sink. And I said, here's a sample. It's going to look like this on the bottom. Again, these are all projects that I was privileged to work with, you know, either by myself or I was able to team up and partner up with some solid investors locally. So this is one of them that we did as well. And like, that's the same layout. This house is almost the same exact thing. So I'm just referring back to like, here's a visual. This is what I'm talking about. See the sidewalk? This is the way the layout is. This is the way that top picture should look just like that after we're done. Yeah.
Nice, I like it.
And then I go into the interior, same thing, right? What we're gonna do as far as the trash out and demo. This property, I don't want to take too much time, but the big issue right now that I'm dealing with is more, again, ARV. So it's determined that in order to hit our target ARV, I didn't want to. And the reason why I have this thing highlighted is because what we're dealing with in Hawaii, guys, is the Department of Planning and Permitting, right? The timing just of getting all these permits just freaking takes ridiculously long, and it just blows out our budget if we go over time. So in order to not get into that, I'm not changing any of the footprint. At the end of the day, this is still going to be a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. It's less than 1,000 square feet. I can't even add anything. So I'm not changing the footprint, but I would love to, if I could, I would do the double walls, vinyl sliding windows all day, every day. But because of timing, I'm not going to do it. I just don't want to deal with it because of the permitting stuff and how long it takes. So I'm going to keep the outside just a single wall, but on the inside is the conversation piece that I have here, talking to the GC on whether or not how we're going to save money, as far as, you know, doing the whole double on the inside, just to be consistent and keeping it upgraded. So I'm, again, just being detailed about all of those things, talking about what we're going to run through the flooring, all of the things, you know, standard stuffs, but literally putting it all down. As you can tell, the interior is quite lengthy, but again, just trying to be as detailed as possible. And then kind of giving them a finish. On the left side, this is what we're doing basically. So just a visual. We're gonna blow out that wall, and then it's gonna look like that on the right. Again, that's another project I was able to work out with another agent. And then that's the kitchen in the middle, and that's how the sample is gonna look like. I'm telling them like, this is the layout, the L shape, it's gonna look like that. And then the bathroom, same thing, finished sample. This is what I'm envisioning, telling them like, this is how this house should look like. Maybe a different material as far as the tiling and whatnot, but the layout and the look is gonna look like this.
Nice. That house looks almost exactly like that one you did, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. And then just to touch on this as well, this is a final punch list. Be detailed on the final punch list. And this stage is right when you're about to finish, right? So like when you did all of your scope and you're through, now you go through and do your blue tape and just be detailed with everything. And like, again, just run through that whole thing and blue tape the whole goddamn thing. You know, just whatever you think is little things, you can discuss it. You can always have that conversation piece with your GC or project manager, whoever is on site. But every one of these things need to be done before I pay you that last check. Yeah. And this is on top of also, like I talked about, hiring that home inspector, right, to finish up, come back in. So like on top of all of this, he'll give you the nitty gritty on like, okay, yeah, I just tested the lights, because you're not testing electrical, but you got to make sure all of those things work. So on top of that, you give them the actual home inspection that you paid for on the final, and I think you should be solid going through. There's always hiccups that come up, but like for the most part, you should be covered as far as the renovation and how the shape the house is in, yeah, before you exit and go to market.
What I found too is the final punch list, and also when you're in escrow with a buyer and they have requests, right, to any request. That's the hardest part to get the guys motivated to do these things, right? Because they already went through the whole life of the project, and then they still have to come back, fix things, right? So that's the hardest part for me. I've been trying to think about how do we keep them motivated to stick with us even through escrow, because the project's done. They got their last check. They're off on the next project, you know, and maybe that's another one of your projects or not. But when you're in escrow and then the buyers, you know, they're saying like, oh, we need to fix this and that, something maybe we missed or something that wasn't done properly, which happens, you know, because there's a lot of moving pieces in a project. So how do you keep them motivated to stick to you and come back? You know, like, is there anything that you do? Because I'm, you know, that's the hardest part.
Don't pay them. You mean to finish your project? You can't cut that check. Like I think I had mentioned that weekly, that Sunday meeting, like ensuring that what they had promised, you hold them accountable. So like what I told you, so every Sunday you have them write you now, either email you or text you something in writing on saying what we're going to be doing and accomplishing this week. Before you cut them that check, the end of the week, you go out there or you're sending somebody out there to conduct a thorough, you know, walkthrough of saying and making sure whatever you said was going to get done, you know, did get done. If not, you're not getting a check. Tell me why you deserve this amount or not, and then that's why you get carried over, yeah? And that's not a thing about being motivated, and I was like, you know, that's a promise thing. Like, you told me that you're going to be meeting these obligations. You're not. Why should I cut you this check or at least this amount that you wanted? Like, maybe I can cut you less, but until you finish this, I can cut you a check later. Once it's done, I'll come back and check it. So that's kind of why I keep in line. At the end of the day, they're all friendly, but this is a business, right? So like, you don't want to, you know, blur the lines, you know, like, you got to do your part and I'll do my part.
What about during like J1 inspection though, when you're selling, you know what I mean? And the buyers got requests, or like maybe there was something that was missed. Like, that's the part where like getting them come back, like, guys, you need to come back and fix this. Like, it's not, they don't come running, you know, over, because typically you pay them after the last punch, the final punch list items are done, right?
Correct. So that's why normally I haven't run into that there's an issue, because again, at the end of the day, it's their name on the project. Yeah. So if there's an issue, they would come back and fix it. And that's, again, it's vetted and it's talked about that when we sell this thing, in the event that something happens during this, will you be able to come back out and send your guys, whoever it might be? It's a plumbing issue, it's an electrician issue. Can you just actually, can I get your word on that? And that's something that you say up front, yeah? When you cut that last check, they're proud about their project and whatnot. And if something happens, again, they want to put their label and stamp on it, they'll come back out and fix it. Because at the end of the day, it's always rinse and repeat, right? They want to do more business with you. And if they don't, then they just burn the bridge, right? They want to continue. This is not a one-off thing, right? We're investors. This is what we do for a living. We're not doing owner-occupant stuff. So it's like, dude, that was a great job. I think it was smooth. Here's the next one. Come out and bid this, and you start the whole process, right? Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, yeah. And they always come back, but it's always like, it takes time, right? And time is of the essence when you're in escrow to sell this project. It's like, we need this done now, right now, today. And you get guys today, right? And sometimes it's yes, no. So,
and I think it all goes back to the communication, Corey. Again, it's like, we are responsible. I know we keep saying this and touch, but I can't stress enough. Like, that's why communication, well, not just communication, crystal clear communication is absolutely paramount in the way your project is going to go. Whether you succeed or not, it's going to be the communication. It's with that contractor, right? That, like, being detailed with everything and making sure that what you in your mind, don't assume anything, you know, because they're assuming something as well. But let's talk about it. Have these hard conversations before rather than after, once you're like blown up the budget and whatnot. And now there's too much emotions now involved. And what we do is, it's all about the numbers. And we always say that there's no emotions. Dude, when that number blows up, there's a lot of emotions going on, you know, like somebody's about to get cracks.
Right. And well, Keone, thank you so much for sharing that, because like the execution phase of any project is so important, and you got to have trustworthy people on your team. But even if you have trustworthy you know, general contractors, like you said, like the most important thing is communicating and being very detailed. You know, that's something that I got to work on. That's why, you know, Keone and Layla and some people are just better at like project management, you know, and I'm
let
not.
me let me add one more thing to this right here that I'll put out as a last bullet point that will actually determine whether or not you're successful. Because we as investors, we focus so much on the house part, which is we should do, but it's the last part that is so vital as well, and it's the selling part. So if you plan on going to market with this thing, even if whatever the case is, you gotta hire a good real estate agent who specializes in selling, right? Yeah. So the reason why us as investors, we're always looking to cut costs and save costs. So we're seeing and vetting all of these flat fee guys, 5,000 this, but you get what you pay for. So at the end of the day, we don't make money unless we sell. We get paid at the end of the day. When we negotiate up front and we know that number, we're pretty much done with that deal right here. But we just get paid when we sell. But you spend all of this time, get to this point, and then you hire some person who's like a friend or a family or whatnot. They have no experience. You're going to be sitting on that market forever. They have no network. They have no nothing. And it's like, damn, I should have. And then you end up hiring some agent like, oh, I'll just pay the fee. You know, but you try to save money. At the end of the day, it's like you get what you pay for. So be critical in who you hire, because at the end of the day, the job is to sell the house. I'm an agent. I don't want to spend the time to do it. I hire the guys who can actually get it done. And that's kind of the way I roll. There's only been certain times that I had to, because I lost some money on it. Like, dude, there's no money at all. Like, I'm just going to eat it. I'll sell it myself. And that was the fortunate thing. But other than that, just make sure that it's always in the budget, you know, to bring that to an actual selling agent. I guess I just want to add that. Finish it off strong, hire an agent that actually can get the job done.
Yeah, that's so key. Because like, I know that you're an agent, you could sell your properties, right? Mm-hmm. But like, you're smart enough to know that like, that's not where you make your money. You make your money on flipping properties and investing in real estate. And so your time needs to be spent on finding the next deal and building the relationships to fund the next deal and the crew to mobilize the next crew. You should be doing scope of work for the next house already, right? And leave it in the hands of like someone like Ashley and her team, right? Who specialize in that and are very good. And it is very important because anybody can get their license, honestly. You know, it's not that hard. But if you have an agent that knows how to sell and knows how to negotiate, that can be the difference between like sitting on market forever or selling or getting under contract right away, you know? And so, it's props to you because you're a licensed agent, right? Like you might be saving 20, 30 grand, right? Or a house, maybe more sometimes. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money to the bottom line, but you know that you're worth more than that, right? And like to be $1 million a year producer, I've said this many times, like an hour of your time should be worth roughly around $1,704.94. Right? So when you break it down to that, you're losing money when you're sitting open houses, when you're taking phone calls, buyers inquiring, when you could be out there, you know, scoping more deals and shopping more deals. So that tells me that like you're a savvy investor, right? Because not everybody thinks about the money in the pocket, but they don't look at opportunity cost and how much that time costing you in actual real earnings, right? And I guess before we move on, I just want to say one tip too that I learned, something that was probably very valuable to me, is that there's a developer here, and he's like a former Navy SEAL. I've never met the guy, but we shared the same GC for a little while, right? Keone and I. And like he's known to be like a real hard ass, right? And he would like with his general contractor. So I asked our general contractor who we share, I was like, how does Gil like get the projects moving so fast? Like guys are, you know, when he's such like, he's kind of an a-hole, you know, he's kind of like, how are they motivated to work for this guy to get these projects done on time and on budget? Sorry, I don't know if I cut out, but no, so, and his answer was that when he goes on site, he doesn't act the way he does to the GC that we shared. He's very friendly, you know, he gives compliments to the crew, He says, wow, you guys did an amazing job. You know, this is moving along. Like, thank you so much. Very polite, very cordial, but he's taking notes, right? He's looking at everything. And then he gets on the phone with the GC and then starts barking on us, right? So he knows that the guys the guys boots on the ground, like you got to keep the morale up, right? And then, but you're still taking notes. And so he said that whenever he goes on site, the guys are running to him, basically like trying to show them what they did, right? Because he gives compliments, like they feel valued, right? And so they're motivated to do the job done, get the job done and do it well, right? So like that was a big tip for me that I carry through, you know, whenever I'm on site now, even though we are the owners, right? And technically, like we can tell everyone to take a hike or whatever. Like when I step on the site, it's like I'm stepping into their job site, you know, like that's their house. Even though like we're on title, like they know that I'm coming in politely. I'm asking if I could step there or here, right? And then giving compliments because it keeps the morale up with the crew. Because if the crew loses morale, you're gonna see it in the project. You're gonna see it in the budgets. You're gonna see it in the quality of the work and the timelines. You know, so that's just probably the biggest thing that I learned along the way. You know, and it's not in my nature anyways to be that kind of person, to bark orders and boss people around. You know, but it was confirmation to me to hear that, you know, positive reinforcement works better than negative most of the time. You know. And then the times that you do have to raise your voice and be a little bit more stern, you're taken seriously, right? So that's just a tip that I learned, and hopefully that, you know, it works out for everybody here. But any final words, Keone? And thank you so much again for your time. Sorry, guys, I know we're going over, but it's just such great information because if you can't execute on the project, it doesn't matter how many houses you buy. You're going to lose money.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
The secret to success is in everything that Keone shared, and it's been awesome. Can you post as much of that information, Keone, on the web, on our Facebook page? That you can.
What's that? Well, the scope and.
Yeah, just some of the documents. I think a lot of folks that are following are really appreciative of all the detailed information. But
oh yeah, you want me to just send it to somebody? I can send it to you or whoever.
Yeah, send it to us, and then we'll post it on the World Wide Web.
Okay. Yeah, man, not a problem, bro. Open book, man. I'm an open book. Whatever we can do to move all together as one.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of questions in there too in the chat too, Keone. So before you head off, maybe you can kind of check them out. But yeah. Thanks again.
What we can do is we can kind of wrap up this official part for those who got to go. But then, Keone, if you could stick around, there's some pretty interesting questions and really solid questions just relative to kind of your involvement with the GC and on site and such. So that would be awesome to have you do that. But just
let's do it.
Those who like go and, you know, work on their bullets for their fancy brand new car, they can. Saying anybody in particular.
I'm meeting Keone out in Makaha to look at our job sites and stuff. So if I don't know how to work like Facebook Live and Instagram Live stuff, but that would be cool if anybody's still hanging out online, that we go live and kind of just walk through some of the projects that we have. But we'll see if I can figure it out.
Yeah, can you just have Keone finish that project for us? We like finish. Let's sell those houses.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Koa, Richie's showing you all the bullets he did.
No, we saw it.
He just showed us more. He just wanted to give us the results.
He's the most productive hour and a half. He's
I know, that's what he's done. Look.
Bullets.
Hey, I'm from New York. You don't scare me, Rich.
That's awesome.
Yeah, whatever questions there are, I mean, you know, I'm definitely open to answering it as best as I can. And I hope I added value, but I appreciate the opportunity, guys. Really. Yeah.
Bro, your value was awesome. Super, super solid.
Thanks so much, Keone. You're the best.
Thank you, man. You're the man,
Thank
Scott.
you guys for jumping on. We'll definitely see you in the Facebook group. I'm gonna be on the Facebook group a little bit more. So if there's any questions or anything that somebody needs, just shoot me a message. And then we'll put you in touch with the right peeps. So everybody have a great Aloha Friday, and we'll see you next week.
Aloha.
You guys,
long way.
your issues with Zoom. And Facebook Live sounds so old.
Well,
How do I work this thing? How do I use this technology stuff?
And that's why when Corey says that he's not detail oriented, we all are like, yes, we know. He's big picture, high level, and then anything under there, it's like, oh, how you turn on my phone? How you work my elevator? Every time he gets on the elevator, as if it's his first time losing reception. Like he forgets every time. It's like, oh.
Like Alex said, surround yourself with the right people, and that's what Corey does.
Yeah. Someone told me focus on my strengths and not my weaknesses. So
we don't have enough time on the call to go over your strengths, Corey.
Oh.
Hey, you know what? Before I forget, you know what? I thought is something good for this coffee talk thing. Keone, is that at some point if we can just put like a logo somewhere for coffee talk, and then everybody for maybe about 1 minute, everybody just do this, and then we submit it to KHON so we can be on the actual ending of the news at the 6 o'clock news. If everybody is zooming, just keep going like this, you know, and then that way we can submit it, and then they can use it for their ending segment, and then it'll be branding and marketing coffee talk. Boom. That's for free, guys.
Keone knows people at the news stations.
Yeah, just keep going and let me know when we're gonna do it, and we just
play the music.
They'll play the music in the background, but everybody who's on just keep shakaing, you know.
You just gotta be comfortable with doing the shaka for like 2 minutes.
Yep, at least 2 minutes.
I know that's the thing. It's so awkward too when you watch people at the end.
I'm pretty sure all the cameramen are like battling each other who can get the longest shaka from these people.
Yeah, they probably are like, oh, tell them 10 minutes. Tell them they gotta do them for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't make can't even talk. Whatever. Watch. I'm not gonna move the camera.
Awesome. Hey Richie, we like all come your house and drive the car.
Yeah, man.
Is that yours, Richie?
No.
Or
it's a
you're
custom
fixing
car.
The only problem is if we come over to drive it, I gotta quarantine in it for 14 days.
Well, Keone, what time are you going out to the job? Pretty soon?
I'm gonna go meet one of our contractors on Richie and I's project right now to cut him a check. So, and then I gotta go to that other project first in Miley, and then I'll make it out. So we said
it was gonna be at 1 o'clock,
yeah. So he'll probably come out here somewhere, so I'll probably meet him at Home Depot.
Can you text me to your job site?
Yeah, you guys come out, man, before we head out to the Macau projects. I got to see how far they got with the demo, that's why.
Okay.
Hey, Keone, I have a question. Hi, I'm Bo.
Hey,
Hi.
Bo.
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking.
Yeah, the great presentation today. I really appreciate it. I have a question for you on a rehab.
Okay.
I'm looking into filling in a pool. Have you ever done that before?
I supposed to fill in a pool. No, I don't have experience with that. I did look into that for cost-wise, and the reason why I didn't take it on because it was either like, can I fix the pool or just fill it? And both of them seemed expensive. So I thought we could just throw all this dirt in. And I think actually, you know, Corey and Keone, they did it, right? Didn't you guys do that?
We did it, but Corey and I fought over the decision every step of the way. I liked the pool. Corey didn't like a pool.
I mean, I would love to keep this pool, but it needs everything. I mean, it's just cement in the ground. And I was thinking, the demo on it would be astronomical. So I was just wondering if I could just fill it in and not have to, do I permit that?
Yeah, we filled ours in. So, I mean, it really came down to looking at your comps to see if it would be worth having a pool.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, so if it's not worth it, filling it in with dirt is great. Ours was in Portlock, which was an area where most houses have pools. And so it was one of those decisions that could have gone either way. I think we made the right decision by filling it in.
It's not in the kind of neighborhood that has pools, and it's not a huge pool, but it wouldn't be worth investing in the pool.
Yeah.
It cost us like 40 grand.
Did you guys have to drill in the bottom so it drains before filling it in?
What's that?
Yeah, ours was, we had to drain ours. It was nasty. Like I should probably post some. I think there's some before and after photos of that.
Photos. It was pretty awesome.
But did you have to break the bottom apart, or did you just have to drill holes through the bottom of it to make sure it's still porous? Or
Yeah, so there was holes drilled just to make sure you're totally right. So that way it didn't become its own little cesspool kind of a thing.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah. But then Corey and I bought another house that had a pool that looked like a golf course, like the green.
The green, I remember that one.
Remember that one? Oh, so bad. But we chose to keep that pool because it was on the lake. And we can show you photos about that one, but that was the right decision on that house to keep the pool on that one. It was worth the money to restore it, and then it helped us on our ARV. So really it just depends on the property's location and the necessity of that to drive up your ARV.
Yeah, the main thing, we were getting bids around like 70 to 100,000 to fix the pool because the structure of it was compromised. So they had to redo everything. So we and plus the pool was in the front of the house, which wasn't ideal. And we were taking out the wall in the front of the house to have a front yard. And it just was, we had to do it, but it still cost a lot of money and took way longer because the guys had to bust through the concrete and they threw it all into the pool. I don't know. It was crazy, but we got it done. Yeah. Are you flipping a house out there, Bo?
Yeah, well, I'm going to put an offer on it, but the pool was my greatest concern because it hasn't probably been used in 20 years, and it's just the concrete and it's all deteriorated around the edges. And I'm not even thinking about putting a pool in there, but I thought, wow, it's just not an area that their pool's at. And plus, it's a half a block from the beach.
Oh, yeah.
So
where's the house at, Bo?
It's in North Kihei.
North Kihei. It's a half a block from the beach. What's your ARV going to be on it?
I'm hoping 700.
How many square feet?
Let me pull out my information here. Sorry, I looked at a couple properties yesterday and.
Bo, I gotta head out to go meet with Keone guys, but I saw your message. I'm gonna drop my email in the chat. Okay. Send me an email about the
Actually, I sent you a private message to send me. I put my email in there. So I think I might have your email. Can you ask in the square footage on this?
Just curious.
Hey, you can cut the recording, Rob. I think it's still recording. Up to you though.